At 6:42 p.m., I got a text from my husband. It said, "Working late." I didn't think much of it. He often worked long hours, and I trusted him. We had been together since high school, married for almost 10 years. I always believed we were solid. He was calm, focused, always came home to me, and never gave me a real reason to doubt him. I loved him. I thought he loved me too. My best friend and I had known each other since we were kids. We used to talk every day. She knew everything about me, my fears, my dreams, even the little things like how I took my coffee. But over the past few months, something had changed. She became distant, cold. She always had an excuse when I wanted to meet up. I missed her, but I figured life was just getting in the way. That evening, I got a strange message from a number I didn't recognize. It had an address and a time. No name. Just those two things. Something in me told me to go. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe a surprise or a misunderstanding. I never thought I'd walk into a church and see my husband, standing at the altar, wearing a tux, smiling. He was holding hands with my best friend. I couldn't move. For a moment, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe it was a dream, a cruel trick of the mind. But no, it was real. They were really there, surrounded by flowers, music playing softly, people watching with smile. I saw her in a white dress. She looked happy, calm, like this was the best day of her life. And he looked at her the way I always wanted him to look at me. Nobody noticed me. I stayed in the back, frozen. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear the vows. I thought I would scream. I thought I would rush down the aisle and demand answers. But I didn't. I just stood there. I felt everything at once: shock, pain, anger, confusion. I wanted to fall to my knees. But instead, I reached into my bag, pulled out my phone, and pressed record. I zoomed in. I filmed his face. I filmed her holding his hand. I filmed the moment they kissed. I didn't crash the wedding. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Not then. I just recorded everything. I knew this moment would change my life forever. I knew I couldn't go back to the way things were. But I also knew this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. I didn't know why they did it. Not yet. But I would find out. And I would make sure they remembered this day just as clearly as I always would. We met in high school. I was 16, and he was 17. He made me laugh when I was having a bad day, and I thought he was the most thoughtful boy I had ever known. We started dating quickly. Everyone called us the golden couple. We went to prom together, graduated together, and even got into colleges in the same city, so we could stay close. We didn't take long to move in together, and by our mid-20s, we were married. Our life looked perfect on the outside. He had a good job. I had just started my own small business, and we had bought our first home. People said we were a power couple, strong, smart, always pushing each other forward. And in some ways, we were. My best friend was always around. She had been in my life since I was 10 years old. We grew up together, went to the same schools, and stayed close even as our lives changed. She was there when I got engaged, when I bought my dress, when I walked down the aisle. She called him her brother-in-law in a joking way, and I laughed along. We were like a team, the three of us. I never once questioned the time they spent together, the way they joked or texted. It all felt normal, until it didn't. Things started to change slowly. At first, I thought I was imagining it. He bought a new cologne I didn't recognize. I found strange charges on our credit card, dinners, hotel stays, things that didn't match what he told me. When I asked, he brushed it off as work-related. I didn't push too hard. I trusted him. My best friend also changed. She started canceling plans with me more often, said she was busy with work or traveling. She didn't answer my messages right away. I missed her. I thought maybe we were both just growing apart a little. It happens. At home, things weren't the same. He stopped asking how my day was. He stopped holding me at night. Sometimes he wouldn't even say goodbye when he left for work. I thought it was just stress. He always said work was getting more intense. I tried to be patient. I gave him space, thinking it would pass. Looking back now, I see it. All the small signs. All the little things I told myself were nothing. I remember one night when he came home late and had lipstick on his shirt. I told myself maybe it was someone from the office, just a hug or something harmless. I wanted to believe the best. I didn't want to be the kind of wife who doubted her husband. But I should have. I should have paid attention. I should have asked harder questions. I feel foolish for missing it, for not seeing what was right in front of me. It wasn't just a mistake or a slip-up. It was something they were building together while pretending to be part of my life. They weren't trying to hide it because they were scared. They weren't ashamed of what they were doing. They were just waiting for the right moment. They were preparing for something bigger, something final. They weren't trying to keep it secret. After that day, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I went home and sat in silence. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. Something inside me had snapped, but not in the way they might have hoped. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to stay calm. I was going to find everything. I started small. I went through our shared laptop. He never bothered to log out of anything. I looked through his emails first. Most looked normal, but there were some strange ones. Confirmations for dinners and hotel stays he never mentioned to me. I took screenshots and saved them. I went through his text messages. Some were deleted, but not all. I found messages to a number saved only as initials. They talked about dates, plans, places they'd meet. It was her. I recognized her way of typing, the way she used emojis. It was her. Next, I checked the call logs on our phone plan. His number had regular, long calls with hers. Late at night, sometimes for over an hour. I kept records of those too. I searched social media. She had a second account under a slightly different name. It was private, but the profile picture showed them at a beach. Not a group photo, just the two of them. I knew that place. We were supposed to go there for our anniversary last year, but he said he had a work trip. I saved the picture. I began checking the house. I didn't even know what I was looking for at first. I just felt like there was more. One night, while he was in the shower, I checked the drawer under his side of the bed. That's when I found it, a second phone. It was off, but I charged it. When it turned on, everything was there. Messages, photos, notes, even a wedding checklist. There were pictures of the rings, venue confirmations, a countdown app on the home screen. They had been planning this wedding for a long time. They weren't ashamed. They weren't hiding. They were moving forward without me, like I never existed. That's when I found the prenup. It was in a folder buried in our filing cabinet. I didn't remember signing any prenup. We had talked about it once, years ago, but never followed through. My hands went cold as I looked at the paper. My name was signed at the bottom, but that wasn't my signature. Not even close. He had forged it. He had planned everything, how to leave, how to protect himself, how to move on. I wasn't supposed to find anything. I wasn't supposed to ask questions. I was just supposed to disappear from the story they were rewriting. I saved it all. Every screenshot, every document, every message. I backed it up in multiple places, on a flash drive, on my email, even in a folder labeled with a fake name in the cloud. I made sure nothing could be lost. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I smiled when he came home. I nodded when he talked about work. I acted like I believed every word. But inside, I was building something. I was putting together every piece like a puzzle. The truth was ugly, and they had worked hard to hide it. But now I saw it all clearly. They thought they had covered their tracks. They thought I'd never figure it out. They thought I'd walk away quietly and leave them to live their new life without trouble. They wanted a clean break. I was going to give them the messiest exit imaginable. I went home like nothing happened. I unlocked the door, walked into the kitchen, and made myself tea. My hands were steady. My face was calm. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat at the table and waited. He came home 2 hours later. He looked tired, or at least he tried to. He dropped his bag by the door, loosened his tie, and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. I asked how his day went. He said there had been a work emergency. He told me he had to stay late, that things at the office were falling apart. I nodded. I smiled. I acted like I believed him. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I just listened and nodded like a good wife. I even asked if he wanted dinner. I had already eaten, but I warmed up leftovers for him and sat across from him at the table. I watched him eat. He talked about his job, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't married someone else just hours earlier. I kept my voice soft. I looked him in the eyes. I even touched his hand. He didn't notice anything. He didn't know I had seen everything. He didn't know what I was planning. Over the next few days, I stayed the same. Sweet, quiet, loving. I did laundry. I made coffee. I asked him how he slept. But slowly, I started making small changes. Little things, just enough to keep him off balance. I moved his keys from the hook to the kitchen drawer. I hid one of his socks. I changed the password on the Wi-Fi, then changed it back before he got home. Just enough to make him pause. Just enough to make him wonder. I stopped texting him during the day. I didn't call to check in. I acted like I had no worries at all. I let him come and go as he pleased. I smiled when he left the house. I smiled when he came back. At night, I lay beside him in bed. He would roll away from me, and I would stare at the ceiling in the dark. I thought about everything he had done. I thought about how easy it had been for him to lie to me. I thought about her, my best friend, and how she had sat in my living room so many times, pretending to care. He had no idea what I knew. That gave me power. Every lie he told me now made me stronger. Every fake smile he gave me pushed me closer to the moment I would stop pretending. He thought I was calm because I was happy, but I was calm because I had a plan. He kissed me goodnight like nothing was wrong. I kissed him back and smiled at him. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I had never felt more in control. I watched him fall asleep beside me, and I thought about how I was going to destroy his life before the end of the week. I called my best friend and asked if we could meet. I told her I was feeling low and needed someone to talk to. She agreed quickly, just like old times. We met at a quiet cafe we used to love. She smiled when she saw me, like nothing had changed. I smiled back and gave her a hug. Inside, I felt sick, but I didn't show it. I told her I thought my husband was cheating. I said I didn't have proof, but had a bad feeling. I said I needed her advice. She looked surprised for a moment, then leaned in and spoke gently. She told me I was probably overthinking. She said maybe he was just stressed and distant because of work. She told me not to ruin my marriage over small doubts. Her words were smooth, calm, fake. I nodded while she spoke. I asked questions like I was confused and scared. I said I didn't know what to do. She touched my hand and said, "Trust him. He loves you." I wanted to laugh. She looked me straight in the eye and told me to stay strong. All the while, she sat there hiding the truth. I had my phone recording the whole time, hidden in my purse on the table. Every word she said, every lie she told was saved. Her voice sounded kind, her face looked caring, but now I knew the truth behind it. She wasn't just helping him lie. She was leading it. She played her part well. But as I watched her closely, I saw something else. She seemed too calm, too sure. She wasn't nervous, not even once. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about love or cheating. She wasn't just in love with him. She was using him too. Maybe for money, maybe for something else. But it wasn't just feelings. It was control. She talked about their past, little stories she thought I didn't know. She slipped once and said something about a weekend trip he never told me about. Then she quickly changed the subject. I let it go, but I caught it. Every little slip told me more. She thought she was smarter than me. She thought I was still the same old friend who trusted her blindly. When we finished our coffee, she hugged me again. She told me she loved me and to take care of myself. I hugged her back and told her thank you. My voice was steady. My smile was warm. She never saw it coming. I walked away feeling clear. She didn't just stab me in the back. She smiled while doing it. And she thought I would never find out. But now I had her voice, her lies, and her fake comfort, all saved. If my husband was a liar, my best friend was something worse. She was a black hole of deceit. Everything around her disappeared, and she left nothing but damage behind. I woke up the next morning with a plan. I wasn't going to cry or beg. I wasn't going to ask why. I had all the proof I needed. Now it was time to act. I had spent years trusting them. Now I was going to spend days making sure they lost everything they built online. I started small. I created a new email address with no name, no trace to me. I used it to send messages to their workplace. They both worked at the same company. In the email, I gave details, dates, pictures, and proof. I didn't explain everything. I just gave enough for someone in HR to ask questions, enough to raise red flags. I didn't write anything angry, just facts. That made it stronger. Next, I sent the wedding video, not to the world, just to the right people. I found email addresses for his parents, his brother, her sister, and her boss. I sent the video clip and nothing else. No message, no warning, no name. I let the video speak for itself. I imagined their faces when they saw it. I didn't feel guilt. I felt calm. After that, I went to the bank. We had a joint account. I didn't clear it out, but I took what was mine. I moved the money to a new account in only my name. I paid off a few things that were still in both our names. I didn't want him tied to me when things exploded. I kept records of every dollar. Then I found a lawyer. I didn't want any delays. I wanted someone strong and smart. I met with her in private and gave her everything. Documents, messages, screenshots, even the fake prenup. She didn't say much at first, just took notes and asked clear questions. She told me I had a solid case. I nodded and said I wanted to move fast. She recommended a private investigator too. I agreed without thinking twice. I gave him names, dates, and places. I wanted more than just what I had found. I wanted everything. Every lie. Every hidden plan. Every secret meeting. I wanted a file so thick it would bury them in their own mess. I stayed quiet at home. I acted normal. I smiled and cooked and asked about his day. But every hour, I was building something stronger. A plan he couldn't stop. A path he couldn't run from. He thought I was the same woman who once believed every word he said. He didn't see what I had become. Focused. Cold. Ready. Each step I took was careful. Nothing rushed. I didn't want drama. I wanted results. I wanted damage they couldn't fix. Their new life was built on betrayal. I was going to make sure it collapsed piece by piece. They thought I would stay silent. They thought I would walk away and let them be happy. If they thought I'd go quietly, they hadn't been paying attention for the last 12 years. It started slowly. A few people saw the video. Then more. Then it spread across town. It wasn't on the news, but it didn't have to be. Everyone who needed to see it did. The people at their jobs started whispering. Friends began texting each other. Family members called confused and angry. No one knew what to believe, but the video was clear. I didn't post anything public. I just let it move on its own. I sent a few more messages to the right people. A coworker. A friend of her boss. A cousin who loved gossip. The clip kept spreading, and I stayed silent. The more they tried to hide it, the more people asked questions. It wasn't just a small mistake. They had planned it. And now the truth was out. At their job, things got worse. Human Resources called them in. The company had rules about personal relationships, and both of them broke those rules. They had lied to people at work. They made others uncomfortable. Some co-workers had even been told fake stories to cover their tracks. Now everyone was upset. They tried to explain. They told people it was all part of a misunderstanding. They said it was polyamory, like we had all agreed to this together. They said it was private, and people were judging too harshly. But the more they talked, the more it sounded like lies. Most people didn't believe them. Some stopped talking to them completely. I didn't defend myself. I didn't argue. I just kept showing proof. A photo here. A message there. Every time they said something untrue, I made sure the truth followed. Quietly. Quickly. I didn't need to shout. I let the facts speak louder than any of their excuses. Then his parents showed up at my door. I hadn't seen them in weeks. His mother looked shocked. His father was quiet, almost pale. They asked me if it was real. I didn't say much. I showed them what they needed to see. I didn't try to change their minds. I let them feel the truth for themselves. They left the house shaking their heads. I didn't see sadness on their faces. I saw shame. His brother called too. He was angry, not at me, but at him. He said, "You didn't deserve this." I thanked him. I didn't say much else. Then my husband came home one night and asked if we could talk. He looked tired and small, like the weight of it all was finally hitting him. He said he was sorry. He said things got out of hand. He said he didn't mean for it to happen this way. I just looked at him. He begged me to sit down with him, to explain everything, to make things better. So I did. I sat down across from him, calm and steady. I opened my folder. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I looked him in the eye. And I spoke, with my lawyer beside me. The day finally came. We stood in court, no longer husband and wife in love, but two people on opposite sides. He looked nervous. I felt ready. My lawyer had everything we needed. We didn't have to prove he hurt my heart. We had to prove he broke the law, and that part was simple. The first thing we showed was the fake prenup. I never signed it, but there it was, with my name written in handwriting that wasn't mine. My lawyer had a handwriting expert confirm it. She explained clearly to the judge that the signature was forged. He didn't even argue. He just looked down, ashamed. Next came the proof of cheating. Messages, photos, hotel bookings, all in his name. My lawyer showed dates, receipts, and texts that proved everything. It wasn't just betrayal. It was months of lies and secret plans. We showed how he spent money from our account on her. Dinners, gifts, even part of their wedding. The judge listened carefully. He asked questions. My lawyer answered every one of them with confidence. His lawyer didn't have much to say. What could they say? The truth was too strong. Then came the financial part. We showed how he moved money without telling me. We showed how he hid things. The court took it seriously. They froze some of his accounts while they looked into it more. He tried to explain, but no one was listening anymore. He had already lost their trust. As this happened, his new wife lost her job. Their company had rules. No relationships between managers and staff. She had broken those rules. Once the truth came out, they let her go. Quietly. No goodbye party. No kind words. Just a cold email and a final paycheck. When the judge gave the final decision, I felt calm. I got the house. I got the car. I didn't ask for more than what was fair. But the judge added spousal support too. The court said he had lied, cheated, and used joint money for someone else. So he owed me not just emotionally, but legally. He didn't say a word. He just nodded. He had nothing left to defend himself with. All the charm he once used was gone. The truth had taken it all away. After court, I walked outside and took a deep breath. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad either. I just felt free. I had walked through fire and come out stronger. He had planned a new life behind my back, but that life was now falling apart. He didn't go home with her. She didn't have a home anymore, not one with him. She was out of work and facing questions of her own. And him? He moved back in with his parents. The same room he had when we first met. The same old house he once said he'd never return to. He left me for my best friend, and now he's living with his parents. I didn't want to talk about what happened, not to anyone I knew. So I wrote everything down one night. I didn't use real names. I didn't give away where I lived. I shared what happened in simple words and posted it on Reddit. I just needed to let it out. At first, only a few people saw it. They left kind comments and said they were shocked. Then more people found it. It got shared across Reddit and started spreading fast. People couldn't stop reading. They said it felt unreal, like something that couldn't possibly happen in real life, but they believed every word. By the next morning, it had blown up. Strangers were talking about it on other websites. Screenshots were everywhere, on Twitter, TikTok, even Instagram. Some people made videos talking about what I wrote. Others tried to guess who it was about. I stayed quiet. I never replied. I watched as it moved on its own. Someone who ran a podcast messaged me. They said they had never read anything like it before. They wanted to talk to me, and they promised to keep me anonymous. I thought about it for a while, then agreed. I didn't want attention. I wanted to speak on my own terms. The episode went live and thousands of people listened. I spoke calmly. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just told what had happened. The response was huge. People sent messages saying they felt what I felt. Some said they had been through the same thing. Many thanked me for being honest. Some said it helped them in ways they didn't expect. But something else started happening too. The more people listened, the more curious they became. Some online users started putting the pieces together. They figured out who he was, who she was. Photos began to spread. Old posts were dug up. Things they said and did before now looked different. People began to judge them, not me. They tried to deny it. They tried to explain things away. But it was too late. The internet had made up its mind. People turned on them fast. They deleted comments, then whole accounts. But the damage was already done. Their faces were everywhere, linked to something no one could forget. I didn't speak again. I didn't need to. I watched as everything unfolded. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. I just sat with my tea and felt peace. After everything, I finally felt like I had taken something back. They had taken so much from me: love, trust, time, years I can't get back. But now the truth was out, and they couldn't hide. They had chosen each other. Now they had to live with the weight that came with it. They wanted to start fresh. I gave them something else, a name people would never forget. One afternoon, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something told me to answer. It was him. His voice was quiet, almost like he was scared. He asked how I was doing. I didn't say much. Then he said he missed me. He said he made a mistake. He asked if we could meet and talk in person. I agreed, but only because I was curious. We met at a small cafe. When I walked in, he stood up like he used to, trying to look polite. But he didn't look like the man I once knew. He looked tired, older, and unsure. I sat down across from him and waited. He told me he had been thinking a lot. He said things hadn't worked out the way he thought they would. He said she wasn't who he believed she was. He said he still loved me, and maybe we could try again. I listened without saying a word. When he finished, I looked at him and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was sad. He really thought I would take him back. I stood up and told him no. Not a chance. I reminded him of everything he did, and how he didn't care until the world turned against him. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just left. He didn't follow me. A few days later, I got another message. This time from her. She wanted to talk. She said she needed to explain. At first, I ignored it. Then I got another one longer. She said she was sorry. She said it was all her doing, that she had lied to him, pushed him, and made promises she never planned to keep. She said she didn't know why she did it, and now she had nothing. She begged for forgiveness. She said she missed our friendship. She said she never thought it would end like this. She said she was lost. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Her words meant nothing to me now. She didn't deserve peace from me. Neither of them did. People often talk about healing and moving on. They say forgiveness is for yourself, not for the other person. Maybe that's true for some, but not for me. I didn't need to forgive to feel free. I didn't need to forget to feel strong. I needed the truth to be known. I needed them to face what they did. I took my power back in silence. I didn't rebuild with love or second chances. I rebuilt with truth, with strength, with clarity. I didn't want to fix anything that was broken. I wanted to build something better, without the people who tried to destroy me. They thought they could leave me behind. They thought I would be forgotten. But now, when people hear their names, they don't think of them as a couple in love. They think of what they did. But I'm the only one anyone will remember. If her truth shook something in you, don't keep scrolling. Tag someone who's been betrayed, blamed, or broken. Remind them they are not alone in the dark. Save this for the day someone tries to silence your pain. Because when they think you'll stay quiet, just wait. Your stillness is not weakness. Your strength is building quietly. And when you rise, they'll remember the fire they tried to smother.